Assertion. They're strong statements of unmeasurable aspects delivered with such confidence that it leaves the audience unable to question the validity.
We're standing outside the Ministry of Truth, and this is Winston talking about the slogan of the party.
I want to talk about the slogan of the party because I want to know what effect it has on the people in Oceania. But I also want to talk about the language used in these slogans. Firstly, I wanted to say that all the three slogans contain 3 words. This already makes it strong and direct, which it already gives it a persuasive aspect. All the 3 lines contain strong words. This makes it powerful and people will more listen to it. Then, thirdly, the use of the word is creates an effect that people are not going to question the validity of this statement. So people in Oceania will believe it and accept it faster. So in this way, this propaganda technique assertion is successfully used in these slogans.
False dilemma. 2 extremes presented with nothing left in the middle. The audience do not really have a choice. The dilemma presented is a false one. The propaganda technique false dilemma is used most often in political and ethical discourse. So one is good and the other is made seem very bad. In this example, it is shown by the fact that if you don't join a car sharing club, you are indirectly supporting Hitler. In the poster, the word "you" is used 2 times. This personalizes the situation so that the audience will be affected by the problem, so that they will take action. Secondly, the line "you ride with Hitler" is used. This is an example of a metaphor used in propaganda. It's a figure of speech because when people ride alone, they don't actually ride with Hitler, but they indirectly support it and help him. Again, "you" is used to address the audience. Below the image, the solution is portrayed, the one good choice for the audience. By stating "today," the importance of the solution is emphasized so that people will act fast.
The plain folk technique is defined as generalizing an average person or group as plain folks. The propagandist uses this technique to convince his audience that his view on certain things reflect those of the common person. Examples. This propaganda type is one an important political candidate may use during these elections. For example, President Obama used the plain folk technique during the election in 2008. He aimed to appear, and more importantly, sound like an ordinary person. He did this by dressing casually, shaking people's hands, and stop at local restaurants. In his speeches and public appearances, he emphasizes the importance of family, how he loves his daughters and wife, how much he enjoys basketball and football, and even by adopting a dog. All of these statements help him to appear as an ordinary American citizen. As being the President of the United States of America, the use of language in plain folks technique is very important in my speech to persuade my audience. I use simple language to reach my audience. I even use their accent or jokes from the specific audience to create the illusion that my ideas are of their best interest. To create the illusion of being a plain folk, I use imperfect pronunciation, I stutter, and I even use a limited vocabulary in my speech. All of these on purpose made errors contribute to the idea of a spontaneous and sincere speech. Again, all of this is done to persuade my audience of the idea that my ideas are of their best interest.
Simplification is simplifying a complicated situation.
You know what I should tell you? I'm not at all highly educated. But you see these posters? Due to the simplification used in the propaganda posters, I can understand really well what is said. You know, I can directly see who the enemy is, what I need to know, and what I need to do. Now I want to talk to you about the language and the effect which the poster has on the audience. Well, when I look at this poster, the slogan directly shows. By using the word "this" in the slogan, it emphasizes and directly relates to the horrid image shown below. Secondly, by using the word "tomorrow," it shows the high importance of the situation. Well, and that we need to act now. Furthermore, the copy. It states "America under communism." Well, this
copy also relates furthermore to the poster and to the image and the explanation of the further poster, so what it really is about and what the audience needs to really be doing. And that the consequence is this when nobody acts. And lastly, I wanted to say, by the use of short sentences, it really emphasizes the problem and what the people really need to know. Well, by these examples, I can say that this poster is a very well example of simplification.
Card stacking is selectively choosing facts and arguments to support your case, ignoring any arguments against it. Young people use the card stacking technique quite often in an argument for something that they want, and presidents use it in their election speeches to win votes. It is used when the positive features of a product are emphasized and the side effects are left out. In this example from the earlier days, when cigarette and smoking propaganda films were allowed, they only mentioned the positive aspects of a cigarette. By saying the coolness, the mildness, the delicate taste and fragrance of the cigarette, they tried to manipulate one's mind, and they tried to convince that it's a good thing to do. Card stacking is used by companies or presidents to convince its listeners and viewers to buy their products or to vote for them for their party. Card stacking is used a lot in propaganda, in the repeated adverts on the television which seek to convince the audience to submission. The negative sides are often not even mentioned, which leaves the audience in an unknown information gap. This also appeals to ethos, because this propaganda technique needs to be said with confidence and credit for the audience to believe the things that are said and to not question the things that are left unsaid. They also try to appeal to pathos, as they need their statements to appeal to someone's emotion in order to convince them. Name-calling is the use of negative words to disparage the enemy.
Pinpointing the enemy is oversimplifying a complex situation by pointing out one enemy to blame for everything.
Name-calling is often used during wartime. Insults are used instead of factual arguments.
I blame the Jews for the economical problems in Germany, even though the recession is caused by many complex problems. But I blame the Jews for everything.
With name-calling, someone tries to bring across a conclusion without having to examine the evidence. Negatively loaded words are used to label someone, casting a dark light upon them, influencing the audience's emotions rather than their logic common sense.
The use of language in pinpointing the enemy is simple and clear. In statements such as "this is the enemy," leaves no doubt to the audience whether it's an actual fact or not.
Glittering generalities is using worthy abstract concepts impossible to be against.
Glittering generalities is a propaganda technique which uses words that are connected to worthy abstract concepts such as freedom, hope and justice, leaving no possibilities for anyone to be against it or to even doubt it.
The words used in this propaganda technique contain highly valued concepts, which attract general approval and which are not to be questioned by any person. These statements are used in speeches of the president, whenever the president wants to bring a clear statement across. Words like peace and freedom do not attract any objections, because of the fact that it's quite difficult, if not impossible, to be against. This also appeals to logos, as it appeals to your sense of logic. Freedom, peace and democracy don't need any opposing thoughts, seen from the view of logic.